You are listening to the Rosenthal and Jeselnik Vanity Project, or as I like to call it, the biggest mistake of Anthony's career.
Greg, why are you yelling?
Welcome to NFL Daily. It's not the Rosenthal and Jeselnik Vanity Project. Yes, this is where... Yeah, I messed up. Horses are always the soldiers of pets. We've got Anthony Jeselnik in the NFL Daily Chris Wesseling podcast studios with our friend Colleen Wolfe. Welcome, Anthony. I hope that brings you back some good times.
Thank you. It's good to be here, although I will admit that the last time I was here at the NFL Network, you guys were in a different neighborhood.
Yes.
And when I would
Culver
complain,
City.
you were in Culver City, and I would say, I want a car to bring me here. I'm not coming back to the NFL until you bring me a car. And then I got in the car today, and I was like, oh, we're not going to Culver City.
Mm-mm.
No.
We're going an extra half hour. I've been in the car for an hour to get here.
I was going to ask you that.
Make it worth it, Greg. Make it worth it for me.
I mean, isn't it just worth it to see me and to see Colleen? It's been
It's great to
a
see
long
Colleen.
time.
I haven't seen Colleen in a long time.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen you in a couple of days. I see you all the time. I'm here. I'm just promoting my special. I got a new Netflix special called Bones and All. Came out a couple weeks ago. Been getting great press. I got New York Times today.
Ooh.
Gave me best
Ooh.
gesture. Best gesture for after I told a joke. The laugh was so long that I looked at my watch. And they said that was the best gesture in a comedy special all year. Number 5
Pretty damn good.
on Vulture's top list. So yeah, I'm
I like that you're just coming out hot with the promo.
What else am I going to talk about here at the NFL Network?
I was gonna
You know,
get to that.
See, every instinct in me wants to get you in trouble. Like right when I said, what else am I going to talk about? The 5 things that popped into my head would have gotten you both fired.
Panic just watched over Greg's face.
Yeah.
It really has. So if you're an OG listener of the Rosenthal and Jeselnik Vanity Project, RJVP, that was a podcast. I don't know if you remember this, Colleen.
Yeah, I do,
In
of course.
2015, Anthony and I launched the podcast that ran through the NFL podcast division and is still up there amazingly right now. I don't want to say
Greg is shocked by it still.
I don't want to say too much more about it because I want people to go listen to it. It's great stuff. I'm proud of it. And yes, throughout that whole time there, you were very angry at our executive at the time, Tom Brady, and really the whole organization. Not only would they not pay you or us extra for doing it, but they would not send you a car to pick you up every week. And it was just, you got increasingly angry throughout the course of the
but
season.
things are changing.
Yes.
Yeah, now I can get a car. Now I'm going to be here every day, I think. I think I'm going to be 7 days a week NFL Daily just to promote the special.
Yeah.
Just to tell you
It's a
what
good
new
strategy.
awards I've gotten. And yeah, if you guys send me a car every day,
Yeah.
I'll take
2-hour
that,
round trip.
I'll take that hour commute while I read.
Well, now you can appreciate that when I was driving from here to Burbank for the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. Come on, bro. What a hike it was. But yes, we have seen each other a lot recently because we just taped what might be the last episode of our other podcast, and we called it Later Alligators. And Anthony has just spent like the last handful of podcasts threatening our listeners that he's going to quit. And then finally we did what might be the last episode, but I don't believe it at all. So he's just like putting them through unnecessary stress.
Oh, you guys keep ending podcasts together, so
Yeah.
let's get this one going.
I mean, Colleen doesn't know what we're talking about because Colleen's on TV.
Yeah.
Colleen and I are TV people. You're a podcast boy. So we can end podcasts and start podcasts whenever we want. We're TV people.
It's a power that we have.
It's a look. You know, it's
a
a vibe.
I am on a show called NFL Game Day View, which they play increasingly early in the morning.
They told him it's a TV show.
I think you have to get up at 4 a.m. to see it. But Colleen once hung with us in Montreal, I believe. Not in Montreal.
I've
in San
never been
Francisco.
to Canada.
I don't know why I said Montreal, because I've never been to Montreal with Anthony. San Francisco, when we did a live show of our podcast, and you were just there at the comedy festival. Am I?
Oh,
making
yeah, that's
things up?
right.
Yes.
And we all sat around a fire, I think, in like really comfortable big chairs that were
Yes,
leather.
Clusterfest. Back when Comedy Central was still a power.
Yes, when they had money to send us there, I stayed like in a nice hotel. It was awesome. Okay, we're here. We're promoting the special. New York Times is giving it love. I
York
loved
Times,
it.
the
Colleen
culture.
hasn't yet watched it. She was
But I will
planning
say,
to.
I did download it for my flight home from New Orleans, but I fell asleep because it was a 6 a.m. flight, so I didn't get to start it yet. But I didn't fall asleep because I had started it. It was because I only had 3 hours of sleep.
That went
I
right,
need to see it.
right from compliment to insult. Like
Right.
if you would cut it off in the beginning, it's like, thank you, Colleen.
I've said
and then it's
too
like,
much.
why are you so
Yeah,
But I'm going to go home and watch it tonight.
No, it is like a trait. Sometimes you see a listener in the wild or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, I haven't like listened to the new podcast, but I love the old one," or just things like they think they're or I haven't listened in a while. I used to listen all the time. It's like
I like when people are like,
you
what are you
didn't-
doing now? What are you doing these days?
People don't
Same thing.
realize they can just lie to you.
right.
Love the new special. That's all I need. I'm not going to ask for details. I'm not going to say, what part did you love?
You know
What
what?
was your favorite joke? I'm just going to say thanks.
Well,
yeah.
I'm learning today, so that's
Yeah.
great.
But you're gonna
I
I
watch.
liked
it
that
too.
gesture that you had when you looked at your watch when everyone was laughing. That
Wait,
was
so
good.
New York Times did like the best comedy awards.
It
of
was
the
like
season or something?
comedian of the year was Nikki Glazer, and it was like special of the year was this, like best joke was
Okay.
this, and then I was best gesture, which is kind of like the New York Times wanted to throw me a bone,
Yes.
but it was like, hey, diversity. So let's give the white guy the best gesture.
That's you just raging against cancel culture.
I'm so mad about cancel culture. I mean, listen, I could take up the rest of the NFL daily. I could take up the whole daily.
His eyes are lighting up right now.
Cancel culture, guys.
I have no idea how long this NFL Daily is going to go, but I do want to talk a little football in it.
Please.
You're a big fan of the Steelers.
I'm from Pittsburgh, born and raised, so yes, you are. It's in my blood.
This is the most promising Steelers season there in a while. I was gonna say since that pandemic year where they had a really good record, but it wasn't old Ben Roethlisberger, and by the
Yeah.
time they got to the playoffs, they were pretty creaky. I actually can't remember a Steelers team in a while that I actually thought, well, they could be in the Super Bowl. They could be in our college home, college place, New Orleans, and they could be playing.
They absolutely could be. I do not trust Kansas City. I do not trust Buffalo. I think the Steelers can pull it out this year. I think Russ is cooking, and I'm loving it. And if Russ goes down, we got Fields. As soon as Pickens comes back, and I hear he's getting crazy stuff injected in him. So he's going to be back sooner than you think. So I think it's all about injuries like it is every year, but I think the Steelers have a good chance this year.
What about this week, though? Playing the Eagles.
Okay, well,
So-
hold on to
I
that.
know,
Hold
I
on to that. We
know,
haven't
I
gotten to
know,
our
I
big
know.
segment yet,
I've got plenty to say.
which is called Jeselpicks.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. We had an old segment back in the day. And again, Colleen, I really recommend you more than anyone should go back and listen to this. One of our hit segments was Crunk or Funky Funky Fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just go through the games that were happening that week, and Anthony would decide whether that game was Crunk or Funky Funky Fresh.
And what people forget is that I was right. If you
All
look
the
back
time. Oh, yeah.
If you look back a week later, like I nailed every one.
Yeah.
Like I was really.
Well, everyone still talks about it here.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's actually not true because no one that was at the company in 2015 still works here.
Oh, I
It's
believe
just
that.
Colleen and
I was
I.
going to say that. Yeah, I think
It's fair.
everyone's gone. I think you guys traded in employees for a new podcast studio.
I did introduce Anthony to Eric behind the glass. Chris is back there as well, and made a reference to our old producer Brandon Marcus, but no one in there had even ever heard of him. Things change fast, but
I
that's
just
why
def-
I'm holding on for dear life.
It's a fun little thing for the listener who definitely knows who Brandon Marcus is.
The Steelers, though, like in a big game, let's say they're in the divisional round, they're playing in Buffalo. What is your trust level with Russell Wilson? Like TJ Watt, for all the great things that he's done in his career, like how many playoff wins have they had since TJ Watt's been there? Like zero? Can't
Zero.
even think of it.
I would assume zero. I don't think they'd want to play. Maybe one at most, and that's okay. We're building the team. The standard is the standard. We've got these games. We've got Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We've got Baltimore. We've got Kansas City. I think we play them in like 11 days. It's something nuts where if we get through that 2-1, guaranteed Super Bowl. We could go 0-3. and still, I think, make the Super Bowl. Again, it's going to come down to who's healthy at the right time. Do not bet against Tomlin. And again, Kansas
I think
City
he should be coach of the year.
Definitely coach. You know, he's never been coach of the year.
I do know that because I did a whole thing on one of the episodes that probably aired before this or after this. I don't know. But how has that happened?
Racism.
It's, you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, if you like
Something
go
to this.
it is one of those things that you go through year by year, and it's like, oh, that guy made sense in that year. That guy made sense in that year. But it's because of the standard. Because the expectations are so high every year that when they just kind of meet him, that you don't give it to him. It's always someone like Kevin Stefanski who leads the Browns to 10 wins with Joe Flacco instead of like a great coach like Andy Reid never wins it.
To win a single game with Kenny Pickett. Should have given him coach of the year. To win one game over 3 seasons, they should just give him. They should rename the award after him.
It is kind of amazing. Kenny Pickett's on your team. Little rivalry here.
Thank God.
Steelers, Eagles, the Pennsylvania rivalry.
It's not really a thing.
Not a thing at all.
No, everyone's trying to make it a thing.
No, they're too far away. It's an 8-hour drive.
But they're playing each other this week. That makes it a
but
thing.
they play every 4 years, maybe. Like it's not no one's like. It's exciting to see how good are we.
Yeah.
Because we're both. I think you're 11-2. You've got 2 losses. We got 3. So yeah, I think this game is going to say a lot about the state of both of these teams, but I don't think it really means anything.
Not anything about the state in general of Pennsylvania.
No, the Keystone State,
Right.
As I like to call
Keystone
it.
State battle is what I keep hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Pickett was so bad in the preseason that there was like a big, people wanted him benched, people wanted him cut from, and they thought it was just favoritism and whatnot because of the trade that they made, that they gave up something that the Eagles even made him their backup. Like your quarterback wasn't even good enough to be their backup.
I don't know what he's good enough to be, but not the Steelers starter because that's Russ's job now. Russ. I'm all about Russ.
But as a long-term thing?
I think Russ can play for 10 more years. I think Russ can play at a high level for 10 more years.
I do there is something about it that's a great story that I spent many years kind of thinking he's, pretty low on the list of like people you would want to hang out with in the NFL. Not that any of them would want to hang out with me or that it'd be like that, but he just didn't seem like a fun guy and he seemed a little overrated.
He's the biggest dork in the NFL. He's the biggest dork in the NFL. He decided in high school he wanted to marry Ciara, and then he married Ciara, and then he told people that. You shouldn't have told anybody that, Russ. You should have just done it, and it would have been cool.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? He used to be a running back for Green Bay, and he was obsessed with Batman. And they did a thing at the
Amon
the
Green,
NFL.
I think.
It was Amon Green.
We're old.
He was the biggest dork in the NFL for a long, long time. He was the biggest dork, and then when he retired, now Russell Wilson is the biggest dork.
I mean, how can you be the biggest dork though if you did marry Ciara? Like, I know it's not a cool move to tell everyone that ahead of time. I had not heard that story, but the fact that she's okay with him telling that story,
we see crazy things happen every day.
Ciara wants dork. Ciara wants a dork.
Sure.
I've seen any of the videos they do together. Russell's not saying anything. He's just standing there holding her hand while she dances, which good for him. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying he's a dork. But you want your starting quarterback to be a dork. Tom Brady was the biggest dork in the world, right behind Russell Wilson for a long, long time.
Yeah, now he's a broadcaster.
You tell me Patrick Mahomes is cool? Patrick Mahomes is a dork. You're thinking of his brother. His brother's cool.
Don't point at me.
His brother's cool.
They did spend like too much time on that. What was it? Hard Knocks? No, it was the quarterback show of just like walking around with him at like an amusement park with his family. It was a perfectly nice family, but it does kind of support your theory that it wasn't that interesting. The quarterbacks are never like the most interesting player on the team.
They're not supposed to. If they're the most interesting person on the team, they're getting cut. Like those days of like McMahon, behind center are over. You need to sober up and memorize the plays.
Jalen Hurts is not like that interesting. Have you heard about this little controversy in Philadelphia this week? Probably not. There was a story that came out from Brandon. You explain it.
Okay, Jalen Hurts, quarterback, and A.J. Brown. after the game the other day, A.J. Brown was asked what needs to change with this offense, even though they won the game. And he said the passing game, because he wasn't getting the ball. They're not really throwing the ball right now. And he said it with like this smirk on his face, whatever. So then it kind of like starts to become a little bit of a thing. Brandon Graham, whose season has ended, he has a radio show in Philly weekly. He goes on his radio show and he says, hey, they used to be friends, but sometimes like people change and they can't let the personal stuff get in the way of the business stuff. Then after that happens, he walks it back, Brandon Graham does, and says, it's fine. Like, you know, everything, there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing that's like happening between the two of them. So obviously there is something happening between the two of them.
Obviously, I mean, big advantage Steelers, I think, is that what that says to me.
This is actually, you mentioned, you know, us seeing each other twice in such a short period.
Yeah.
Because we just, you know, did what could have been the last JRVP.
Yeah.
We'll see. When do you think the next time we'll see each other? Because now, like, that little conversation, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, you know, that made me think it's important to keep the personal touches close. Maybe that's what broke up JRVP is the personal problems.
I mean, definitely egos got involved. You know, egos frayed as we went on. You know, in the locker room culture at JRVP was pretty hazeful and brutal. I would guess we would see each other on New Year's. I bet I'm back. When does your family get back from Japan?
After New Year's, yeah.
Yeah. See, I get back a little bit before New Year's. You're back New Year's. I could see you're looking at Colleen like Colleen invited you to a party, and I'm not
No.
to the party.
No, I'm trying to leave the country.
I am wondering what Colleen's gonna do. No, I'm hanging out by myself. You won't be there to go with me on Christmas Day to the same Holocaust movie that we went to last year on Christmas Day.
I always want to call it A Sound of Freedom, but that's not it. That is the opposite of the
What
title.
the hell did you guys do on Christmas?
The Holocaust movie where it was just you just heard it.
The Zone of Interest,
Zone of
No.
Interest. Yeah, we saw it on
which was a
Christmas
great
Day.
movie,
Yes.
and the sound was memorable from it. If you've seen it, you kind of know what I'm talking about.
How festive.
And we just thought, you know, what's the most kind of badass thing we could do?
What's the opposite of Christmas?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see the Zone of Interest, and it was good. And then I went to work later that day and did Monday Night Football. We once saw Cats on Christmas
We did.
as well.
That was fun.
Very unsober. This is what happens when your
Oh.
family leaves you, and then when you bring it up that your family leaves you on Christmas, like people think you're not a good person or not a good father or husband. But it's just every family's different. and this is
I'm
what
upset
works
that you
for us.
guys can't do something together this Christmas.
Well,
We
he's
usually
going home.
do. I'm going to see my family. My family loves me.
Mhm.
And so they want me there.
Oh,
for
that's so
Christmas.
nice. What's
There's
that
Greg. I tried to explain it to Greg several times, and it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to let him know.
What is the reception for you back in Pittsburgh these days?
The
Because
parade.
you know, you're here with the leather jacket. That's been a thing for a while, but
yeah.
the hair is becoming increasingly,
Along?
yeah,
Yeah.
just unique, just
Everyone.
not Pittsburgh style. So you show up there. And
Pittsburgh doesn't believe I'm from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh thinks I'm Los Angeles. So when I show up, it's like I see some people from high school, and they're like, okay. But otherwise, they're just like, what are you doing here? But I'm going to a Penguins game, and maybe I'll run into some fans there. I usually see a couple people. But Pittsburgh is proud of me if they know I'm from Pittsburgh, but they don't believe it because I'm a suburb guy. Where are you? A suburb of Philly? Or
Yeah.
You? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's where the soul is.
It
You
is.
know, the
That's what
soul
they
of every
say.
City.
Mhm.
It's the suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, if you are listening, by the way, and wondering like why is Anthony on the show, and I should have explained as a better host off the top that
You're learning.
we're friends, best
Best
friends, going back to college
Yes.
at Tulane, and that was the genesis of doing RJVP back at the NFL. We went out to LA together to have an internship between our junior and senior years of
I
college.
didn't know that.
Anthony hooked me up with it. I had nothing to do that summer. He had come with me to Massachusetts the summer before and waited tables and worked at a restaurant in Martha's Vineyard with me. And I had nothing to do that summer. I didn't want to hang around New Orleans. I was like, can I tag along with you
Oh, so Greg's just been riding your coattails for how many
to
years?
LA?
Forever.
Uh,
5.
and then who do you think stood out more as like a long-term employment candidate at that company as an assistant at an African-American movie production company.
If you were going to hire either
It was
me or
me.
Greg to answer the phone,
This feels like a trick question.
it was Greg. It was not even a question. It was that Greg got the job, and then I became a stand-up comedian. But if I had gotten that job, maybe I'm not doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm hosting NFL,
Yeah.
and Colleen's a chef. You don't know what could have happened.
Yeah.
It's a sliding doors situation.
And maybe the personal animus that came up for me getting all the buzz on Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project, JRVP, for being the funny one, and that like Anthony just couldn't take that after a while. That so many of our fans were just like, we love Gregg, like more Gregg, a little less.
Greg has this dream almost every night.
A little less Anthony, like Gregg is so funny, like less Anthony. It's weird.
Let's say we did an episode, and I was like, "Oh, welcome to JRVP. Greg's not here today." Do you think anyone turns it off? Do you think a single person?
Do you think
turns it
anyone
off?
notices?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you said, "Hey, welcome to JRVP," Anthony couldn't be here. You're hearing some clicks. You're hearing him live.
Yeah, I am wondering. Like, there were people, very excited. They still are inside this company for you to be coming. This was
Mostly inside this room.
seen as a big time get. I'm wondering if they've listened to this 20 to 25 minutes, whether they still feel the same. Our producer Eric just sounds confused.
Back when we did our JVP, I remember after we finished, I had a meeting with the main guy at the NFL Network at the time, and he said, "Would you like to work with the NFL Network in the future?" And I said, "Do you guys think that you can work with me?"
Right.
And he laughed and he said, "Yeah, you're right." And then I left.
Was it Charlie Uke? Was it
I
Tom
think that
Brady?
was Tom Brady. Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's
Tom Brady.
nothing on the NFL Network where I could fit in without, like, someone's getting in trouble for this, for sure.
I think we're good. I think we're good so far. I hope
So far, but I haven't even got.
There were moments
There is
where
still time.
we were pitching television shows with the two of us. That's how it started. Like, oh yeah, maybe it could be like a Friday afternoon show. And it ended up being a podcast that you didn't get paid for, but it was meticulously planned.
It's worked out great for you.
Anthony
helped.
Anthony would want every segment planned out. It was like we did more prep than Colleen.
You wanted to be prepared, is what you're
I
saying?
mean, I'm extremely prepared for what we do, and that's why I'm excited about this final segment we're gonna do.
If you had told me that we hadn't started taping yet, I would believe it. That's the way you run this show. If you had been like, "All right, are you ready to go?" I would be like, "Okay."
Well, we're normally talking about football, so this is a little different. It's a little something extra. We're actually going to take a quick break. We made it this far in the show, and we're going to come back and we're going to do Jeselpicks, the first and last time. Back on NFL Daily, and this is it. This is the last thing that you have to do, Anthony, before you are on your Christmas break.
This sounds like the soundtrack to like the trailer of a movie where someone with an axe is walking through a hospital. That's what it seems like. This Christmas, get ready.
I would see that.
Yeah,
The
me
real
too.
Christmas miracle.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone to go with me on Christmas this year, so make that movie for me so I can watch it at home.
I saw Gladiator 2. Go see that. It's
Okay.
great. It's great.
I would see that. And yes, Anthony has been touring this material for 2 years. I was there when he was first kind of trying it out. That's the time when I like to jump in, is when he's just doing those 15 minutes at the Comedy Store, which you'll probably be doing again soon when you start just working it up from scratch. And that was more than 2 years ago. It was a journey that took you all around the world, biggest theater tour you had. Like, what was I don't know, what was your most fun stop?
I mean, London was amazing. It was great to go back and see the progression. The first time I played London, I played for 70 people. The second time I went back a few years later, 400 people. And this was 3,500 people.
Oh,
So it was just
man.
like, wow, like they're responding. Berlin, the last time I played Berlin, it was 100 people sitting on the floor. This was 2,500 people. My parents were there. Like, that was crazy. It was great to just see the audiences responding to the last special. As a comic, you put out a new special and you don't know how well it does until you go on tour again and then see people buy tickets. It's like, okay, they liked it. So it takes a few years.
That's cool. And you
It's
get
not
to
like you guys where like you do something and immediately people are like, you suck.
instant gratification. Yeah.
right
I mean,
away.
I know right away. Like, what are you wearing? What are you saying? Fire this person. Why do you have a job? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know.
Yeah.
I can take the temperature very easily.
And you, I remember, we were taping the last JRVP, and you said that was the last thing you had to do as a part of this whole tour and promotion, and you have a feature that was done in Vulture, but no, it's NFL Daily, your home. That is the very last thing that you will do.
This is the cherry on top of the sundae.
All right, so let's do it. It's time
Everything has led to this.
for Jeselpicks.
Jeselpicks.
This weekend is crazy. The 4:25 window has two of the very best games of the season in Steelers, Eagles, and Bills, Lions. Potentially Super Bowl previews. We're going to get to those in a second. But in terms of two games with teams with that high a winning percentage this late in the season, it has never happened in NFL history that two games that good are going to happen at the same time. But at the very same time, there's two other big-time games. And yes, we're into the segment of the show called Jeselpicks. Both Colleen and I have to make picks in really high-stakes environments. I do it against Cynthia Freeland, and I do it on Game Day View. You do it on Game Day Morning. You got to come up with your upset pick. So we thought Anthony can help us make our picks this week.
Yes,
we're going to
please.
start with Colts and Broncos. Now, you might think Colts-Broncos. That's not that big a game. Oh, you're wrong. 6 of the 7 AFC wildcard spots are all but decided, like 94% chance to make the playoffs and up for 6 of those teams. There's really only one spot left, and it is Colts as the underdog, the unofficial team of Colleen Wolfe.
It is every damn year.
Every year, she's always into the Colts. They're always a little meh.
They always let me down.
And the Broncos, led by Sean Payton, who got rid of your boy Russell Wilson, didn't like him at all. That would be a spicy
Didn't know how
playoff
to use him.
matchup.
Didn't know how to use him.
I mean, perhaps. If they win this game with their rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, they're all but guaranteed to get that 7 spot, and the Colts are all but done. So it's sort of a loser goes home game, at least for the Colts. Colts-Broncos on Sunday. Who do you like?
You know, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to go into overtime for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking extra quarter, extra 10 minutes of play. I think Jesus Christ comes back. And with 5 minutes left, comes down on the 50-yard line, introduces John Candy
Oh, wow.
to the audience, who immediately spikes a football and tears down the goalpost.
So,
I mean, ratings would
yeah, that would
through
be
the roof.
but-
Ratings are the winner
Uncle Buck 2. Like,
with the tie. Macaulay Culkin's too old for Uncle Buck too.
so it's just a tie. It's the game is over at that point with the tie. Well, that would be good actually for the NFL.
This is what my sources tell me.
Right. Both teams stay alive in that scenario. Like, it doesn't totally eliminate the Colts. Maybe they're in the mix
Yeah, it's very
for
believable.
the division. More than anything, it would be great for like the post-game shows. We have Chris Rose, for instance, doing our post-game show on
We have Jesus on the
on
set joining
NFL
us.
Network.
Do that.
The highlights would be incredible.
Who do you think people want to talk to more, Jesus or John Candy? So I'll tell you right now, you're gonna wait in line behind me to talk to John Candy.
He's America's sweetheart. They're still playing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in the theater
It's a classic.
at the Arrow right near my house. I just doxed myself. All right, Colleen,
Okay.
why don't you introduce this next game?
All right. Bills Lions.
Bucks
Where are we
Chargers.
going
Let's
here?
go Bucks Chargers.
Bucks Chargers. Okay. Bucks Chargers. Can the Chargers beat a team with a winning record? That's sort of been their deal this year. They've had all of these close wins or losses, but they are only 1-4 against teams that are above 500. And the Bucks, somehow, some way, they have been able to weather the storm without their wide receivers when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were down. And now they all of a sudden are leading the NFC South. They are a playoff team, and they want to stay there. So what do you think here? The Chargers, they have the best scoring defense in the entire league. Can the Bucks keep scoring against them?
I think you're right in everything that you said. I believe that the Chargers are going to win this game. I believe that Harbaugh is too big a psychopath
Yeah.
not to win this game. And I've been told by my sources that during pregame warm-ups that Justin Herbert is going to go over to, who's the Bucks quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, and tear off his face. I've heard this.
Is he going to wear it?
He's going to just tear it off and then keep it so he can't put it back on to play the game. He can still play.
That's a savage move.
Yeah, it's savage.
It's a savage move. It's a hardball move.
It's kind of silly too. It would expose the Bucs. I think their backup quarterback is a gentleman by the name of Kyle Trask. I feel like that's advantage Chargers. Chargers win.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right, unless the Chargers' backup quarterback, whose name I do not know, goes over and tears off his face.
That would be the move, but that would be tough to do.
Once you see one of your teammates tear off another guy's face, you want to get in on that action.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Like
that.
if I reached over right now and ripped off Gregg's face, Colleen, what's the first thing you're doing?
I try and rip your face off.
Exactly.
Everybody knows. I love that. I'm definitely taking Chargers because of that. All right, Packers, Seahawks. That's the Sunday night football game.
Mm-hmm.
Big game in the NFC. Seahawks, one of my favorite teams because of Geno Smith and how he's resurrected his career, the high level he's playing at 8-5. In first place of the NFC West. People didn't think they'd be there. Packers, in this weird spot in the NFL right now. They're 9-4. You think that's great. That only makes them third in the division. You lose this game, and who knows, you might have to even start worrying about not making the playoffs at all. A tradition of quarterbacks unlike any other, from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Do they go on the road Sunday night football and end the Seahawks winning streak?
I got to tell you this right now, Seattle people, I'm sorry, your stadium's too loud. It gets too loud. You guys need to shush it up a little bit. I'm trying to enjoy the game. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I think they're going to win big. I think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines with Joe Rogan openly weeping throughout the game.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Now, he's not, on the Packers, of course. He's just
he wishes
attending
to
it
God
as
he
a
was still in
fan.
the Packers.
Yeah.
He'd give anything to get back into a dark room and pick the Packers again.
That's your guy, Joe Rogan. I mean, they're buddies, Aaron Rodgers. You were buddies back in the day, right?
He's my best friend in the whole world.
Okay.
I talk to him every day.
It would be a viral
Do
moment.
you talk to him more than Gregg?
I talk to him more than Gregg. Yeah. Gregg's a texter where Rogan wants to talk. Rogan wants to say good morning. What are you going to do today?
Yeah.
Daily affirmation kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Rogan move. Gregg's just like, I love you. Heart emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take too much of a side tour here, but are you going to watch the Aaron Rodgers Netflix show, and have you seen the promo for it? Rogan's not on the promo.
I saw a promo where he's wearing it looks like he's wearing sleep gear. I thought it was a joke. That's a real show
Yeah, that's a show.
about Aaron Rodgers.
And it's called Enigma, and he, helped produce it. Kind of one of those self-made documentaries.
Of course, it's called Enigma.
If you remember when Aaron Rodgers was likable? Remember when
I can't remember back that far.
No, he was
likable so long ago. And then he has done everything. It's like he's been following a playbook on how to not be likable. That I would, if he was sacrificing himself for the greater good, and we found out one day, I would believe it.
He's doing the opposite of Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yeah, that's
polar
a good call.
opposite.
He got divorced from Ciara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't tell anyone about it.
Nope.
I couldn't agree more. You almost forget. Yeah, at one point, Aaron Rodgers was the most exciting quarterback I've ever seen.
You
play
rooted
football,
for him.
and I didn't know that much about him, and now I know way too.
You remember when the first time you got a hint that he was off his rocker?
I do. What was it for you?
60 Minutes did a profile on him, and he meets a fan, and the fan goes, "I thought you'd be taller." And Aaron Rodgers loses his mind.
No.
He loses his mind. He goes, I really don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. And the guy's like, "Oh, you're like 6'1". I just thought." He's like, "I don't appreciate that at all." And they left it in the interview, and then Aaron Rodgers got mad at 60 Minutes for leaving it in. If you're over 6 feet tall and you're insecure about your height, I'm 6'2". A 6'5" guy can walk in here right now. Nothing he can do to me. All right, I'm immortal. So if you're 6'1" and you're bothered about your height, something's weird. Something's wrong.
What about if you're 5'6", rounding up?
That's fine. If you're below 6 feet, that's your world. You live in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You're fine.
Wow. When was that?
It was a long time ago because people were surprised.
You were ahead of things then.
It's my sources.
Man, they are good.
My first hint that I remember off the top of my head was the Mina Kimes profile of him, which Mina is a lovely
I know, Mina.
human being, like very smart. And it was a very nice profile of him, but there were just these little things in it that was just like, oh, yeah.
You were picking up on them.
This guy. I guess there were more moments in that way.
I don't know. For me, it was when he was like, oh, yeah, Green Bay, a real vacation destination for people. When they were trying to talk about like free agents coming in and Aaron Rodgers having more control. Just like, why the shot at like your team's base? Really?
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to Jeselpicks. My Super Bowl pick before the start of the season was Bills and Lions. And if you're a regular listener to NFL Daily, I haven't let you forget about it because it's looking good.
It is.
So you got to just honk about it while it's looking good. Eric's Bills, I know they're like the 2 or the 3 seed right now, but to me, the best team in the AFC, the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Josh Allen. You got the Lions. They've won 10 straight. They're everyone's favorite team. In Detroit this Sunday, could be a Super Bowl preview. Bills, Lions, Jeselpick time.
Look, smart money wants to say Lions. I think the Lions have been getting lucky and they've been getting cocky. It's kind of like the Chiefs. We're like, how long can they keep this up for? The Bills are coming off a loss, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Bills got everything to play for. However, I think we've got a Dark Knight Rises situation where during the opening kickoff, the entire field explodes.
Oh, my God,
and only
no.
the player returning the kickoff survives.
Ooh.
Everyone else is gone.
A lot of death and destruction during the Jeselpicks.
Yeah,
keep going back to that
tune
well.
into that game late.
It's like your sources seem
That blows
to
up Greg's pick, too.
keep hearing everything. Well, that's true. If it's a long-term thing, that would be a very Lionsy way for the season to end.
It would be.
Just the team is gone in the crowd, potentially. But Hines Ward is okay. Wasn't Hines Ward blocking on that play?
Greatest Hines Ward play ever. Hines Ward scored and then turned around and was like, that was the best acting ever, was when he turned around and saw that all his friends were dead and he just dropped the football.
Love Hines Ward. Let's wrap it up with your game.
I mean, it's our game, I would
our
say. Eagles and Steelers. The Eagles, everything should be lovely, rosy right now. 9 straight wins, but, hearing the stuff that I explained to you about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, even though Saquon Barkley is absolutely crushing it, and when you just give him the ball, if you wanted to move the offense around, whatever. Against the Steelers, your team that has been, I think, one of the biggest surprises this year because the expectations were a little bit lower than usual coming into the year because you didn't know what you had at the quarterback position.
I'll say this, and I'm gonna kind of split the difference with you, Colleen.
Okay.
'Cause I know you're such a big fan.
That's great.
I believe that for all the reasons you just mentioned, 9 wins in a row, you can't maintain that.
Mm-hmm.
You got locker room drama, you can't maintain that. I believe the Steelers, even without Pickens, I think they've learned to play without Pickens. I think they're getting more inventive. I think the offense is getting more exciting. I think that the Steelers will win this game this weekend, but I think that's a bad thing if we do end up matching up in the Super Bowl. I think whoever wins this game, if we play in the Super Bowl, will lose the Super Bowl. So I'm rooting for the Steelers, like the way you're rooting for the Eagles. But if the Steelers lose, I'm not mad about it because I know we're going to come and take that trophy.
The rematch
Yes.
is the one that matters.
Yes.
Okay.
I do believe these teams are coming out into the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 4 Jeselpicks where faces are getting ripped off, John Candy and Jesus are involved, the field explodes. But Steelers, Eagles, it's just like you're playing patty cake with Colleen. We're both winners.
That's what happens
here,
with the
and
Keystone
nothing
State
happens
rivalry.
crazy in the game. What happened to your sources?
Jesus Christ is not like Santa Claus. He can't be everywhere at once. He can only be at the one game with John Candy.
That was Anthony Jeselnik. You got to check out Bones and All.
Check out Bones and All. Watch it. Watch it on
If
Netflix.
you don't like the first 15 minutes and how
The
that
first 15 minutes is brilliant. It's the first 15
I am
minutes
so
is
excited
the
to
best
watch this.
work I've ever done in my
Whoa.
life. The rest of it's great too. But the first 15 minutes is the best work I've ever done in my life. This is my 5th hour of stand-up comedy. If people were like, "Oh, I watched the first 15, turn it off." No, you didn't. You're just Joe Rogan fans and you're mad at me.
you're getting a lot
Bones
of
and
that
All. I'm getting a little. I haven't watched a lot of the. I haven't seen a lot of the regular content.
It's doing great. I keep seeing it
Rogan
on the
fans.
like they have that Netflix top 10 or whatever, and there's
That's why I
It's doing well.
downloaded it.
That's
I saw it on the
funny.
top 10. I was like, oh my
There's the
God.
best.
I had the conference call with Netflix today. They're very happy.
Oh.
It's already doing better in like because they look at how many people watch it, but how many people finish it is the big thing.
Ah.
And right now, it's already outperforming my last special, Fire in the Maternity Ward, in terms of people finishing it. So the first 15 minutes is so brilliant. They're like, throw away the remote, give it to John Candy. He's back. That's what they say.
That's what we all want, and I hope someday we have you back here. We're now 9 years between appearances at NFL Network, or I guess it would have been like Super Bowl 2016. So, yeah, you'll be here in what 2033.
Look, I've enjoyed the hell out of my time here. That walking through that room wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That was kind of tough for me, but you know what
Hate
it
that
is.
for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's the drive, it's the commute.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That next time, if Colleen picks me up and brings me into the studio, I will come back. And listen, guys, if playoff time comes, you need a Steelers fan here to represent.
Okay.
I will be back. You just keep sending me cars.
I mean, I could
Send
do
me a
it.
car every day, and if I want to come, I'll jump in the car.
There was one JRVP episode where you insisted you would only tape it if I picked you up and brought you there.
Mm-hmm.
And I
you did that?
I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far out of the way.
No.
Well, it's LA, it's Hollywood. The things I've done for this man over the years. And
It's friendship. It's adorable.
and what he's done for me. Let's get out of here. Play the music, Eric. Yes, for Anthony Jeselnik, check out his special Bones and All.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.
Hey, this was fun.
Check
We
out
should do it again very soon. I'll pick you up.
Colleen on game day morning, and when you sweep before you mop, football's back. See you next Friday.